is the Above It All program ? For today. Welcome, users, and watchers, and viewers, and people that just have a content addiction. You know, they're not really listening to any of this bullshit. They're not really engaging with any of this fucking cock and fuck. They're just listening to things because they can't stand the sound of their own thoughts. So shout outs to all the content addicts out there that are pumping me into your ear balls every Friday morning or Saturday or Sunday or never. I mean, I don't know when you watch this shit. Anyway, welcome to the show, people. I'm going to be talking about bugs today. I'm going to be talking about caps. I'm going to be talking about them. Going to be talking about food. I'm going to be talking about COVID. Yep, that's right. And more today on today's program. And we'll start with some and more, you know. Let's start with that. This may alarm you if you have an IQ that is below 25. But here we have a headline: U.S. fertility rate dropped to lowest in a century as births dipped in 2023. So I personally, you know, may be controversial to say, support banning people from having kids. I think we have enough kids. There's no reason for you to have kids. The only possible reason why you would want to bring a new human being into this world in the year 2024 is you're a narcissist. That's it. You don't give a shit about the safety of your kid. You don't give a shit about the health of your kid. The only reason you would want to have a kid in the year 2024 is narcissism, right? That's it. And let's be honest, narcissists don't make great parents. Anyway, let's check this out. Some people may be, you know, some of the Elon Musk types may be a little freaked out. The birth rate! Oh! The fertility rate in the United States has been trending down for decades. And a new report shows that another drop in births in 2023 brought the rate down to the lowest it's been in more than a century. There were about 3.6 million babies born in 2023, and they're all going to have horrible lives. Let's be honest. You know, let's be real here, right? What's the average lifespan? Well, you know, after, COVID has been introduced into the population, the average lifespan is probably going to be like 40 or 50, right? So what is the world going to be like in 2060, 2050, you know, when these kids are approaching middle age or elderliness, you know? It's going to be a hellhole. It's going to have the worst possible fucking weather you could imagine. There's going to be natural disasters every 13.6 seconds. Technology is going to get to the point where they're probably going to control us with like AI robot, you know, masters, you know, and also it's going to be really fucking hot outside. So I don't know, man. To me, like, and now you can make the argument, right? Like, oh, well, do you expect every person who wants to have a kid in the world to revolt so that they can bring a world about that they would be happy raising their kids in? Well, I do expect that, yeah. Because, like, guess what? Honestly, if you're having a child in 2023, again, you need to think about 50 years from now. And if you're thinking about 50 years from now and you're not thinking about the climate apocalypse, you're not thinking about, like, the 15 pandemics we're going to be going through, I'm sorry, man. You just don't need to be having kids. I get it. You had kids already, whatever. I'm not talking to you motherfuckers, but I'm saying to all the new parents or the prospecting parents out there, maybe get a job, get a hobby. Maybe go through therapy before you decide to bring another human being into this world. But let's go on. 54.4 live births for every 1,000 females aged 15 to 40. What? Aged 15 to 44, according to provisional data from the U.S. CDC. Amazing. After a steep plunge in the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic, the fertility rate has fluctuated, but the 3% drop between 22 and 23 brought the rate just below the previous low from 2020, which was 56 births for every 1,000 women of reproductive age. Quote, we've certainly had a larger declines in the past, but decline fits the general pattern, said Dr. Brady Hamilton, a statistician, and also with other credentials. The birth rate fell among most age groups between 22 and 23, the new report shows. The teen birth rate reached another record low of 13.2 births per 1,000 female. I'm sorry, man. Like, can we talk about the language being used here? Per one... Like, first of all, teen births should be 0. And I'm just going to give another hot take, okay? Now, I get it. Some motherfuckers get raped and impregnated, and we got those fucked up laws. We're not talking about you, okay? If you're watching this show and you got raped and now you're raising your rape baby, that sucks. I feel bad for you. And also, I'm not talking about you, okay? So just calm down. Breathe your sigh of relief. All right. Teen births should be 0. I mean, I'm sorry. It should be 0. Honestly. You should not be allowed, legally speaking, you should not be allowed to have a child before the age of, let's say, 25. Let's even say 35. You got to be 35 to run for president. You got to be 35 to have a child. That's my opinion. The idea that people are allowed, legally speaking, to have children at the age of 18, or fucking, God forbid, even younger than that, or 19, 20, I mean, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like, it is impossible. Impossible. Now, again... I know a lot of people have gotten, they've had their own fucked up circumstances. We all have made mistakes or whatever, but hey, whatever. It is impossible, 100%, especially in the modern day and age, economy-wise, impossible to be a good parent if you're having a child below the age of 25. I'm sorry, hate to break it to you. It's just the facts of the matter. Now, you shouldn't be having kids anyway because we live in Fuckville, but if you're having a kid at 21 years old, I'm sorry, man. That's narcissism. You're not thinking out, long term. You're absolutely not emotionally mature enough to have a child. You're absolutely not economically sufficient enough to have a child that's not going to be raised in abject poverty. So I'm sorry, man. You just shouldn't be having kids if you're young. And the idea that we're going to track teen births, I mean, okay, it's a statistic, right? But let's be honest. It should be 0. Anything above 0.0 live births, whatever the fuck, anything above 0.0, I'm going to say, just get rid of that. But I just want to read this. This is I'm sorry, but the language here is so bizarre. The teen birth rate reached another record low of 13.2 births per 1,000 females, ages 15 to 19, which is 79% lower than it was at the most recent peak from 1991. However, the rate of decline was slower than it's been for the past decade and a half. Now, again, okay, good. I mean, 15-year-olds, I'm sorry. I know some people might get triggered. If you are 15, you cannot be a good mother. In fact, I would go as far as to say, if you are having a child at 15, you are a bad mother. You're a bad father. You are an abusive parent because you are choosing to Now, again, if you're not choosing, again, we got some fucked up laws in parts of the country, okay? If you are making the choice to bring a child into this world when you are 15 years old, you're garbage. You're a narcissist, you're an abuser, and you shouldn't be allowed anywhere near children, let alone having one living with you. Okay, that's just my opinion. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for teenage parents. I just don't. Fuck them. You're all a bunch of abusive, narcissistic losers. And also, let's be honest, what's going on with the parents of teenage parents, right? The grandparents in this instance, if your child is 15, 16 and having a kid, guess what? That is a sign of you being a bad fucking parent, and letting that child have a kid is a sign of bad parenting. So let's just be honest here. I know some people might get upset. Oh, I had a kid when I was 16 and my kid turned out fine. Okay, whatever. Sure. Whatever you say, Jack. Let's keep going. Quote, the highest rates have, over time, been shifting toward women in their 30s, whereas before it used to be with women in their 20s, Hamilton said. Now that's one good thing. Again, the older you get, the more financially stable you are, the more emotionally developed you are, the more likely you're going to actually be a decent parent. I'm sorry, if you're 22, you're going to be a shitty parent. If you're 19 years old, you're going to be an abusive parent. It's just a fact. I'm sorry, there's no way around it. Of course, one factor is the option to wait. We had a pandemic. Oh, so this is some motherfucker that's like, the pandemic is over, guys. Let's have some more kids. Did you know that COVID has been found to plug up the placenta? What's the placenta? It's how, like, you know, the fetus gets fed and shit. So COVID particles can infect the placenta and plug it up so that essential nutrients and vitamins and so forth aren't actually getting to the baby in the correct number or the correct rate or whatever. And it's causing a significant increase in birth defects. So again, if you're having a child during a pandemic, while, as God forbid, you get COVID while you're pregnant, I'm sorry, abuse. You're garbage. You're a shitty parent and you shouldn't be allowed anywhere near children. Like, you know how we have the sex offender registry where you can't be allowed children if you're, like, you know, a child predator? My opinion, if you're going around having baby showers and getting yourself infected with COVID while you have a child, while you're carrying a child, you should also be put on the same registry. Are you as bad as a sex offender? Probably not, but you shouldn't be anywhere near kids. I'm just sorry. That's just a matter of fact. If you are willing to roll the dice with a virus that has a 20 to 25% chance to cause birth defects, I'm sorry, that's an abusive fucking motherfucker. And let's be honest here, getting rid of the kid before they're born is going to be the best for everyone involved, okay? That's just a fact. Cry about it if you'd like. Let's read more about this guy. Or there's an economic downturn, let's say. Women in their 20s can postpone having a birth. What is this language? Postpone having a birth? What the fuck? What is this language? Do people really speak like this? Yeah, I was thinking about having a birth next year. Oh, really? Well, I think you should postpone having your birth until... What? What the fuck? Okay. Until things improve and they feel more comfortable. For older women, the option of waiting is not as viable. Meanwhile, births continued to shift to older mothers. Older age groups saw smaller decreases in birth rates, and the birth rate was the highest among women ages 30 to 34, with 95 births for every 1,000 women in this group in 2022. Women 40 and older were the only group to see an increase in birth rate, although at less than 13 births for every 1,000 women, it remained lower than any other age group. These annual reports offer a snapshot in time, he said, but rates can change dramatically depending on the unique situations of the year. 2023 marked the first full year after the U.S. Supreme Court's Dobbs decision that revoked the federal right to abortion. The provisional data does not show geographic trends, which may obscure some of the effects the state abortion bans have had on state-level birth trends. Now, again, I'm just going to be honest with you. Okay, I'm just 100% here. Okay, cry about it if you'd like. If you're being caught off guard by abortion bans, you are unfit to have a parent, or to be a parent, okay? If you are having unprotected sex, right, at the age of 15, 16, 17, while there are abortion bans in effect, I'm sorry, but you're garbage. You're a scumbag. Okay, that's just the way it is. Now, we can have this game. Oh, but they don't know any better. They're too dumb. Well, whose fault is that? Their motherfucking parents, right? So, again, I'm just saying here, if you are caught off guard in any way, shape, or form, I know, we're not supposed to blame the individual here. It's just not allowed. We're not allowed to do it. If you put any, if you even think for a moment that humans, individuals, are actually capable of rational and critical thought for themselves, then that's not allowed in left-wing spaces. If you live in a red state and, you're having unprotected sex and you have a child because of that, you're a victim, actually, right? Bringing a child into this world when you could have just not done that, that makes you the victim. Okay, sure. Okay. Now, again, are these rulings horrible? Are the laws that banning abortions horrible? Of fucking course, right? This is some, fucking fascist, slavery ass shit, okay? But again, if you are caught off guard by that, I'm sorry, we've been in this world for a while now. I'm just sorry, man. abusive. You are a piece of selfish human garbage, and you should not be allowed anywhere near children. I'm just saying, okay? You should be expelled from school. You are a danger to children. If you are having kids at any... I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care. Unless a motherfucker, like, had, like, a leaky condom and it's a complete accident, you know, whatever. I'm sure it's possible. That's one exception I will say, right? But it's like, let's be honest here. If you are choosing to put yourself in a position, in a state with an abortion ban where you could have a kid when you're like fucking 19 years old, you are too fucking dumb to live, and especially, even more so, too dumb to have a child, okay? And I'm just being honest with you. These are my opinions. If you get triggered, then, oh well. However, an analysis from November suggests that states with abortion bans had an average fertility rate that was 2.3% higher than states where abortion was not restricted in the first half of 23, leading to about 32,000 more births than expected. I mean, 32,000 kids being brought into the world in situations with family scenarios that clearly do not want them. I'm sorry, man. Again, I'm sorry, but we should not be bringing kids into this world, especially in family units that clearly don't want them and they're just forced to have a child because of stupid laws, okay? As maternal mortality rates continue to rise in the U.S., so do rates of cesarean deliveries, which Hamilton notes are major abdominal surgeries. Nearly a third of all births, 32.4%, were C-sections, a share that is now the highest it's been in a decade. Now, again, I am not an expert, okay? I just want to be honest with you. I'm not an expert on, regular, whatever you want to call it, birth versus C-section. With all that being said, the idea that C-sections are 1/3 of births is extraordinarily alarming to me. I'm just saying, like, shouldn't we, I don't know. I mean, like, again, I know that obviously there are certain scenarios, medical issues that can occur where C-section is necessary. But I see a lot, and I've read a lot of studies that have said that doctors just like to push C-sections on people just because it's more comfortable. And let's be honest here, having major invasive surgery, right, which is probably going to get the insurance companies extra cash, right, for no reason, I view that as a problem. I view that as like a little weird, okay? But then also you could say, oh, well, there's a lot more birth defects and a lot more problems with pregnancies that are resulting in a higher section or a higher amount of C-sections. Okay, well, if that's the case, I wonder what's causing it. I'm just curious. I'm just wondering. I don't know the information there. Provisional births data is based on blah, blah, blah. I don't care. So anyway, so all the Nazis are going to freak out about this one because they love birth rates. They love having, live births of females aged 15 to 19. I don't know, man. For me personally, if we got to banning anyone from having kids, I would be okay with that. We have a fucked up society where we take dogs and cats and we do invasive surgeries on them so that they can't have children. Why can't we do that with kids? I'm just saying, I'm being honest with you. These are my opinions. I don't think we should be bringing kids into this world. And also, if you're having children below the age of, let's just say 25 as like a bare motherfucking minimum, I'm sorry, you're garbage. And there's too many really stupid motherfuckers having really stupid kids, and they're bringing these kids into horrible conditions. And again, let's be honest here, that's not good for anybody, okay? So, hey, maybe it doesn't apply to everyone, but especially nowadays, the idea that we're having 3 million new kids about-ish every year, that is horrifying. That is horror movie fuel. We could create like 17 fucking book-long series of horror novels based on that fact alone. So just throwing that one out there. Call me what you will. So let's talk about schools. While we're talking about children, let's talk about schools. So, U.S. school meals to undergo major nutritional makeover, limiting sugars and sodium. Now, this is the title. It's a major nutrition makeover. And then in the photo, we have chocolate milk and pizza. Now, I'm sorry, man. Just throwing it out there. Okay? I'm 27, right? If you're around my age, you know that when you were in school, we had motherfucking pizza. We had motherfucking hot dogs. I had cheeseburgers in school. We had all kinds of fucked up trash for school lunch. Garbage. And I just want to tell you this. If you are feeding a child fucked up garbage on a daily basis, abuse. I don't give a shit. If you're a parent, you have no right to abuse your child. Go fuck yourself. Do not pass go. I don't give a shit if you're the school system. I don't give a shit if you're the government. If you are feeding children pizza and hot dogs and chocolate milk on a daily basis, you are garbage. You belong in jail. That's just a fact of the matter. Am I saying kids shouldn't ever be allowed to have these things? Absolutely not. But what I'm saying is, if you're giving them that food in quotes on a daily basis, you are an abusive psychopath and you belong behind bars. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. That's my opinion. Maybe it's a little crazy. Maybe it's a little whoa. But hey, whatever. But let's check this out. We're gonna increase or decrease the garbage in a major way. So let's find out. The nation's school meals will get a makeover under new nutrition standards that limit added sugars for the first time, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced on Wednesday. The final rule also trims sodium in kids' meals, although not by the 30% first proposed in 2023. And it continues to allow flavored milks, such as chocolate milk, with less sugar, rather than adopting an option that would have offered only unflavored milk to the youngest kids. Okay, so I got multiple things on here. 30%. 30%? Oh, so we're not getting 30%. Like, 30% to me is like, that's nothing. But we're not even getting 30%. And also, some people have reached out to me and said, sodium is bad for you. I disagree. Now, am I going to sit here and say sodium is good for you? You should be like eating fucking salt out of the box? No, I'm not going to say that. But the real culprit is sugar, right? Sodium is worse for you when you're also eating sugar. If you were to eat something that's just extremely salty, that's actually not going to be extremely deadly. That's not going to spike your blood pressure in ways than if it's like you're dipping it in fucking ketchup or something, right? So I'm just going to be just throwing that out there. And also, the idea that chocolate milk is a thing we like, okay, maybe if you're really like, you really want to fucking baby and torture these kids with unhealthy garbage that addicts them, maybe once a week you want to have chocolate milk on a Friday or something. But also, what's this obsession with feeding kids milk? Like, I'm sorry. I'm just going to sit here and tell you, milk, not that good for you. Okay, whoa. Some people may be surprised by this. Milk, even without sugar in it, not that good for you. Okay, now, I know a lot of people, there's a huge propaganda campaign that says you got to drink milk, it's good for your bones. You know what else is good for your bones? Regular food. You know what I mean? Like the idea that we need to drink cow fucking juice or whatever in order to grow properly. What did we do before we had cows? Did we just do nothing? Did we just die at the age of 6 because our bones didn't grow properly? So this obsession with milk and especially putting extra sugar in the milk, I'm sorry, man. What the fuck? It is way out there. That is some crazy ass conspiracy shit. The aim is to improve nutrition and align with the U.S. dietary guidelines. The U.S. dietary guidelines are shit on my asshole. I'm just going to be honest with you. They're way fucking too lenient. The U.S. dietary guidelines are oftentimes just written by the food, sugar, and beverage industry, right? So, again, we're not talking about something that's like, we're not talking about scientifically backed health standards. We're talking about government propaganda backed health standards, okay? The same health standards that say pizza is a vegetable because it has tomato sauce, right? These are the standards we're talking about. Some fucked up ass, all right? In the program that provides breakfasts to more than 15 million students and lunches to nearly 30 million students every day at a cost of around $22.6 billion per year. I'm going to do another hot take here. No breakfast. Skipping breakfast is better for children than feeding them Frosted Flakes or whatever fucking Fruit Loops. You know, if you went to school early when I was going to school, right, they would have like a, you get there half an hour early, you could buy breakfast or whatever, right? So sometimes, I don't feel like making you breakfast, let's just take you to school half an hour early, And what did they have? What was breakfast in school? It was those small boxes of fucking Fruit Loops and like Honey Smacks and motherfucking Frosted ass Flakes and like some chocolate milk. I am sorry. From a pure health standpoint, no breakfast is better than the shit that they're giving people in schools. It's just a fact. Now, I know some schools, they don't do that. Some schools, they actually will cook actual breakfasts and stuff like that. But also, when you see cooking, what do you see? You see pancakes. You see bacon and eggs. Now, eggs, I am someone who is a vegetarian, so I do eat eggs. I think meat, especially American meat, is just poison. It's just trash, okay? Eggs, I am open to the idea that eggs, when they're farmed correctly, can be actually nutritious for you, right? But schools aren't getting good eggs. They're getting the bottom of the barrel eggs. They're getting like the fucking eggs that were produced in like fucking the caged like chicken farms where they're feeding them like fucking actual garbage and like fucking like feathers and shit and like fucking all this kind of shit. And the eggs are weak. And again, we're also going through this bird flu thing that's going on. So that's probably going to impact it, right? So even the best case scenario, they're making shit like pancakes, waffles, and eggs and bacon and shit. And that's also not that good for you. So I'm just going to go out there and say I would rather kids not eat at all than be eating this fucking sugary like candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm just going to be honest with you. Those are my opinions. Like the idea. Now again, if we're in a situation where a kid hasn't eaten in like 7 days or something, yeah, feed them some Frosted Flakes, okay? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a sustainable daily practice, okay? That's going to prepare people to become adults. You know what I learned going through school? I learned that pizza was a fucking vegetable. I learned that bacon and eggs is a good, healthy breakfast. I learned that chocolate milk ain't that bad for you. You know what else I learned? That orange juice is the healthiest thing in the world, even though it's just soda without the carbonation, right? But schools are apparently designed to prepare us for the real world, and now I, for the rest of my life, presumably, am going to have a food addiction because of the sugary garbage I was fed as a child and in the school system, right? So they didn't prepare me for the real world. Every time I see shit like Fruit Loops, I get like a fucking trigger because I'm like, damn, I used to love Fruit Loops as a kid, right? But I know it's trash and I tried not to eat that kind of garbage. Now, again, sometimes I'm not saying you have to be perfect. Every once in a while, you want to have some sugary ass garbage. Guess what? That's our right as human beings. But the idea that we're feeding this shit to kids on a daily fucking basis, and then we're teaching them that shit like orange juice and milk is healthy, I'm sorry, man. That's just fucking brainwashing, okay? It's brainwashing. Orange juice is not healthy. It's garbage. It's soda without the carbonation. I would rather a kid drink Coca-Cola than orange juice. I'm just being honest with you, because we all know that Coca-Cola is bad for you. But when you convince a kid that orange juice is somehow good for them, you are fucking them up for life, okay? I'm just being honest. That's just my opinion. Let's keep going. The limits on added sugars would be required in the 25 to 26 school year, starting with high sugar foods such as cereal, yogurt, and flavored milk. By the fall of 27, added sugars in school meals will be limited to no more than 10% of the total calories per week for breakfasts and lunch, in addition to limits on sugar and specific products. So, okay, we have a couple things that we need to talk about here. Calories. Calories are made up. Calories have nothing to do with the human body. Now, again, I've said this before. This may be a hot take. Calories aren't real. How do you measure calories? Okay, you might not know. You blow up food in a box. That's how you measure calories. But wait, so you're telling me chocolate milk, they put it in a box and blow it up and measure the energy? No, actually. What they do is they take a lot of base ingredients, blow them up in boxes. Again, just to be honest with you, the box that they blow it up in, not the human body. It has nothing to do with the human body, right? So they blow random source ingredients into, they blow it up in a box, measure the energy output, and then they do approximate math, right? So like, if you have a super ultra processed food like a granola bar, so what they do is they take the approximate amounts of calories that they get from blowing it up in a box for each individual ingredient, and then they add them up with some formula that's top secret. They're not going to tell you the formula that they use to add these things up, and then that's how they get calories, okay? Calories are a conspiracy theory promoted by the food industry to make you think things like Diet Coke are good for you because it's 0 calorie, right? Oh, that's when calories entered the mainstream in the United States, was when they tried heavily to market things like Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, all these sugar-free sodas, right, that are, are they healthier theoretically than a sugar-full soda? Sure, I'm open to that, but also, it's not that good, okay? It's not that good for you, okay? There's a lot of problems when you're down in fucking 15 Diet Cokes a day, right? So again, calories were kind of catapulted into the mainstream consciousness because of that reason. And also, the way that they actually get calorie information is extremely unscientific. And again, what does blowing something up in a box have to do with the human body? Nothing. It's nothing, okay? It's just nothing. So, you can eat the same exact food. It weighs the same. Or let's imagine you got a batch of apples. They're all the same size. They weigh the same. They have the same nutritional value 100%. You know, there's always variance in each apple, but let's just presume, just for the sake of argument, it's the same exact apple. You cloned it, right? It's identical, right? Depending on what you had for dinner last night, you're going to absorb a different amount of calories. If you had an extreme, healthy dinner, like fruits, vegetables, you had, let's say you roasted up some nice peppers, you had a big salad, right? You're going to get less calories from that apple the next morning than you would if for last night, for dinner, you had fucking Wendy's. You had a fucking triple Baconator Super Whopper for whatever, right? You're going to then absorb more calories from that apple the next day. Why? Because the way your body absorbs calories, guess what? Shock to the system. You are not the only person in your body. Now, whoa, what the fuck is that? We also have bacteria that live inside of our body. But I know a lot of people, they think bacteria are all bad. But there's also such a thing as good bacteria, symbiotic, right? They're taking out the trash, so to speak, right? So if you have a really healthy diet, and you feed the good, healthy bacteria in your body, and then you have a snack, like a candy bar, or let's just say an apple, just to, you're going to absorb less calories because there's healthy, symbiotic bacteria in your gut that's going to be absorbing some of that energy so that you don't absorb the excess calories, right? So again, calories as a unit of measurement, totally debunked. Now, if you don't believe me, if you think this is a hot take, just look it up, do your own research. Maybe I'll do an expanded video, but I've talked about this before. So the idea that we're measuring things based on calories, right? I'm already kind of like, whoa, the red flag is up. But also added sugars. What are added sugars? Those are basically, they take a very sugarful object or food item, and then they just sprinkle more sugar on it. For example, if you get like fucking ragu tomato sauce, guess what? That shit's got added sugar. They just had a pasta sauce, right? Tomato sauce, maybe throw some garlic in there, right? And then they just took a literal spoon, well, maybe it's in a factory, so not really, of like white table sugar and just added it in there and mixed it up. Why? Why? Why the fuck do you need to add sugar to things like pasta sauce? Are you fucking stupid? Are you an idiot? Do you have some sort of disease in your mind that turned your brain into like a fucking cube of Swiss cheese? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you adding sugar to everything? Right, so that's added sugars, which is a separate category from sugars. So for example, orange juice, right? Orange juice is the devil incarnate. Fuck orange juice, right? But a lot of the sugar in orange juice comes from the orange itself. Now, a lot of orange juice companies also add extra sugar to it. Like, can you imagine? Imagine orange juice, one of the most sugary things in the world, and then adding extra sugar to it. Jesus motherfucker, right? But again, if you have, let's say, a glass of orange juice, it might have 40 grams of sugar, but 0, or at best case scenario, are added sugars. It's still an extremely unhealthy, garbage fucking food item, but it's not added sugars, so this fucking, rule doesn't affect it whatsoever. Isn't that a little weird that we're just doing added sugars? Now, again, I'm totally against adding sugar. In my opinion, added sugars completely should be banned. Should be banned entirely. We should not be adding sugar to anything, especially shit like, tomato sauce, like that kind of stuff. Like, what the fuck? You're putting sugar in that? Are you fucking high on drugs? I mean, goddamn. Okay. But let's keep reading. I have a lot to say when it comes to food and kids. I don't know if you knew that. Officials had proposed to reduce sodium in school meals by as much as 30% over the next several years, but after receiving mixed public comments and a directive from Congress, including in the fiscal year 24 appropriations bill approved in March, the agency will reduce sodium levels allowed on breakfast by 10% and in lunches by 15%. I'm sorry, that's nothing. That's nothing. 10%, 15%? Are you joking? Is that a fucking, what is this, a fucking comedy show? 10%. And it's 10% by 2027. What? What? I'm sorry, dude, that's nothing. This same website here had another article that kind of interviewed parents about this. And I want to read this here because, we get some more juicy stuff. I voted in the poll, by the way. So, if anyone wants to vote. Kanawha County students, I don't live there, by the way. This just showed up in my newsfeed. So I'm an outside agitator in this poll. Kanawha County students Braylon and Kamya are part of roughly 50 million other students who will see changes to their school lunches starting in as early as fall 2024. School districts will have the option to buy more locally produced foods. By fall 2025, added sugars will be limited with a full rollout by fall 2027. What does that mean, will be limited? That's no information. How much are they being limited by? Could be limited, could mean 1%, could mean 99%, could mean 100%. Could be limited or will be limited. What does that mean? It gives you no information. No, but here's a quote. The fries that we had, there's lots of salt. It'd be nice if the fries couldn't be as salty. Kanawha County students Braylon and Kamya said. French fries, totally good. All we're going to do is have slightly less salt crystals. That's going to fix the problem. Now, these are kids. I can't make fun of them too much. But goddamn, that is really funny. I still want to eat French fries every day. But if I can have 10% less salt, then it's a health food. Okay. Braylon added, nothing beats a warm, healthy meal from mom. All right, let's see. Quote, it does start at home, but I don't think a lot of parents are going to be like, okay, I'm going to go buy wheat bread. Wheat bread. I'm sorry. Now, again, these are the kids that have been brainwashed to believe wheat bread is good for them. Is it healthier than white bread? Yeah. Is it a healthy food? No. Any form of bread, I'm sorry, is not healthy. It's a snack. It's a dessert. That's just a fact. Bread is a dessert. Now, again, am I saying you should never be allowed to have dessert? No. But the idea that bread, because it's wheat bread, and again, a lot of wheat bread is still ultra processed, right? So they still add sugar to it and all kinds of stuff. The idea that anyone would think wheat bread is a health food is insane. But again, they're kids, right? So they're just brainwashed. They don't know any better. Maybe I do because I'm getting myself right. A lot of parents don't do that. Mother Carlsa Brown said, okay, so the mother thinks that wheat bread is healthy. Lord, please, can we get another flood? And this time, no arcs allowed. Like, we need to get rid of these motherfuckers and start over, man. I'm sorry. Now, again, I know, the default is you're eating pizza and fucking donuts every day. So anything better than pizza and donuts on a daily basis is a health food to Americans. But geez, Lord howdy. According to a West Virginia Department of Education, the West Virginia Department of Education, the state received $4.25 per free meal from the National School Lunch Program. Areas serving 60% or more free and reduced price lunches automatically get another 2 cents per lunch in federal. Oh, they get 2 cents per lunch. Oh, wow. Wow, and it's automatic. Isn't that great? Wow, 2 cents per lunch. Incredible. Well, 2 cents extra, just to be clear. We're going to get $4.27. Whoa, everybody, huge win. Huge win. Quote, I think that any parent out there would want their child to eat less salt, eat less sugar, and eat healthier. I don't think the kids are going to notice, Father Chris Kessel said. Like, what does that even mean? Any parent would want their child to eat less salt, eat less sugar, and eat healthier? Okay. But how about you do that? You are the parent. You control, like, a significant portion of the food that your children are eating. Why are we relying on schools here? How about you, instead of abdicating your role as the parent and relying on schools to do that job for you, how about, I don't know, you do it yourself, you stupid fuck? Like, tell your kid to bring lunch to school every day. Like, I'm sorry, but like, what? What? If you're a parent, why aren't you doing that yourself? Oh, they're too poor. Well, then why did they have kids in the first place if they can't take care of them? Oh, I'm not allowed to say that. I'm sorry. Several county superintendents told Eyewitness News. I mean, I know it's just the name of the news, but it's so dramatic. You know, we're talking about goddamn pizza for lunch, and we're Eyewitness News. It's too early to see how the guidelines would have an effect, but plan to work closely with state's office on child nutrition. A 10% reduction in added sugar and added sodium. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, dude. What? Jesus. Quote. This is a superintendent talking. Something similar was done to provide healthier meals, and it was done at a pretty rapid pace. And being a teacher at the time, a lot of students weren't real happy with the change in their food. Taste is important. And this is a big problem, right? Because parents and schools, abusive con artists that work together to destroy the psyches of their child and get them addicted to drugs from a young age, right? We put fucking high fructose corn syrup in baby formula. Did you know that? Now, not all baby formula has high fructose corn syrup in it, but a significant amount of baby formula has high fructose corn syrup. A pure, refined drug. A drug that is extremely addictive. Oh, but they're saying taste is important. Why is taste important? Because almost every child that is alive today, or even again, I'm 27. I was addicted to sugar when I was a kid because my parents and the school system would feed me garbage on a daily basis. When you are being fed any drug, if you are giving a kid alcohol when they're 5, they're going to grow up to probably be addicted to alcohol. If you're giving a kid heroin when they're 5, guess what? They're probably going to grow up to be addicted to heroin. If you give your kid sugar when they're 5, guess what? They're going to grow up to be addicted to sugar, and then you have superintendents go like, well, the kids don't like it when we take their drugs away. Oh, you don't say. You don't say that the fucking heroin addict doesn't like it when you take their heroin away. Whoa, shocker. That is a major... no one knew that. Whoa, this is breaking news here. But again, I think the whole system is fucked. You need to burn it down and start over. Because the idea that people think it's societally accepted to just feed kids highly addictive drugs from a very young age. Again, baby formula. A lot of companies put high fructose corn syrup, a refined drug, in baby formula to addict them from a young age. You can call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but we survived for a long time without adding high fructose fucking corn syrup to baby formula, and probably you could argue we were doing a lot better 30 or 40 years ago before we started doing that. So I'm just throwing that one out there. But, Jesus goddamn Christ. And again, like, when you see these motherfuckers are like, oh, 10% reduction in sodium, we're going to save the world. Oh, in the course of 3 or 4 years. Really? 10% reduction. But again, they all do this virtue signal trash to make it seem like, oh, we care about the kids. But in reality, none of them give a fuck about the kids. No one gives a fuck about kids. Parents don't give a fuck about kids. Schools don't give a fuck about kids. They all just pretend to so that they can retain their social status in the game that they're playing. But no one actually gives a fuck about kids in our society. They don't. They throw them in pandemic fucking factories. They feed them unhealthy garbage. Did you know that 93% of Americans have a form of metabolic dysfunction because of the food that they're eating? 93% of Americans have a broken metabolism because of the food that we feed ourselves and our kids. And guess what happens when you have a broken, dysfunctional metabolism? Guess what? That causes inflammation. That causes your immune system to flare up in ways that it shouldn't. And what happens when your immune system is flaring up constantly over shit that doesn't matter? And also a pandemic happens. So 93% of Americans are fucked from the jump. Their immune system is already a little dysregulated. And then we have a pandemic happen that is still happening, by the way, and we're just pretending, oh, it's not happening. If I try, I don't know if it's not real. Woo! Right? Like, so we're pretending it's not fucking happening, and everyone's immune system is shot in some fucking way, and they're getting infected with a virus every single goddamn day. They're getting reinfected with a new strain of COVID. But hey, tell me more how parents and schools care about kids. Tell me more about how politicians care about kids. I'd love to hear it. Jesus fucking Christ, this shit sucks. Oh, Jesus. Again, fucking... All right, let's see. I want to see what I should cover next here. So you may have seen protesting going on in college campuses. Oh no. Oh no. College campuses. They're back in the news. And it seems to me that things are going pretty well for the college kids when it comes to their protests. And you may have seen a lot of videos. I want to show this video here of an interaction, if you will, if you want to call it that, an interaction, an interactive experience with the police in Cal Poly Humboldt. I'm not going to tell you that I know where that is, but just check this out. These students are protesting, and they're basically occupying this location at the college, which, by the way, they pay to attend. So, I mean, if you want to say that they shouldn't be allowed to be in the college that they pay to attend, okay. And cops basically tried to bust in this fucking joint. So if you skip ahead here, you see the riot cops are actually busting into the joint. And now I just want to give a quick shout out to this motherfucker with the goddamn water jug. So shout out to this motherfucker, a legend, a total legend. So the riot cops are coming in here to beat the fuck out of these kids because they have the audacity to not want to kill innocent children in Palestine, right? Now, again, just, you know, let's just get a little bit. Then this motherfucker with the water jug is boom, boom. Now, again, that guy, yeah, they're fucked. I'm sorry, they're fucked. Look at this fucking cop, by the way, just grab this fucking, again, child. I mean, or 19, 20, 21-year-old children. I think so. I would say so. But, like, you have a fucking baton and you're fucking trying to, like, basically beat the shit. Look at this guy. The cop is elbowing kids in the fucking head. Like, these people are insane. I'm sorry, they're fucking insane. Cops are insane. But you may have noticed something about these protests. A lot of the kids here are wearing masks. Why is that? Because we're in a fucking pandemic. So I want to read this article here from semaphore.com. And again, we're in a fucking pandemic. I know a lot of fucking political pundits and a lot of boomer losers who want to pretend that the world, the reality isn't real, want to pretend, oh, COVID is magic. It disappeared. The pandemic is over. Why? Well, because Joe Biden said so. So there's an article here, why the new U.S. campus protesters are covering their faces. So let's check this out. The scene. I love these dramatic ways that they fucking create articles like this. The first thing you see are the masks. The N95s, the surgical masks, the patterned cloth masks, the bandanas. Now, I just want to say, as someone who studies this stuff, all of this shit is garbage. Useless. Surgical masks, shit, they're garbage. Cloth masks, shit, they're garbage. Bandanas, they're worse than all of the rest. Okay, I'm sorry, it's just an honest with you. N95 is the bare minimum. You could go higher. You could go like N99, P100, stuff like that. N95 is the bare minimum. Anything less than that is a virtue signal. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. If you are wearing a surgical mask, you might as well be, I don't know, swimming in the fucking soup of COVID, right? Because you're not really doing anything. Which largely vanished from American life over the last 2 years, but are a defining feature of America's swelling left-wing protest culture. So why did they largely vanish? Because the right wing, the Trumpers, the MAGA anti-vax conspiracy theorists convinced leftists and liberals at large that COVID disappeared. It's magic. Your immune system is perfect. Viruses aren't real. Now, I want to tell you all, this is the first time in all of human history that we know of where the germ theory of disease has been discovered and thrown out the window. We no longer live in a world that believes in germs, okay? And so that's why you see articles written like this that are shocked. Oh, college kids believe in the germ theory of disease? Don't they know that Joe Biden cured the germ theory of disease? Germs aren't real. Joe Biden told me that. Why don't the college kids accept this magical fantasy Harry Potter land where Joe Biden cured all COVID? Why don't they believe in the magic? Germs aren't real. Faculty members at the New York University link arms to protect a Gaza Solidarity encampment, most of them wearing face masks. Activists block travel across the Golden Gate Bridge, all of them in masks. Members of the March on DNC 2024 coalition show up to the Chicago press conference in face masks, removing them only when it's their turn to speak. Now, again, dumb. You're a fucking idiot. If you are out there taking your mask off because someone put a mic in your face, one, learn how to speak. You can speak through the mask, you stupid fuck. And when you take the mask off, guess what happens? You completely nullify why you have a mask on in the first place. So if you are going somewhere, you have a mask on, someone puts a mic in your face and you go like, ooh, you're dumb. You're dumber than dog shit. You might as well just fucking jump off a bridge because you're too stupid to live. Okay, I'm sorry. You're just fucking dumb. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. I just like, okay, so you believe that COVID is real and it's all around us and it's airborne, which is a fact, by the way. But like somehow when you're talking, when your mouth is going to be moving and open the most, you decide that that's when it's safe to take your mask off? What the fuck? Are you stupid? Like, do you have rocks in your brain? Apparently. Nearly 1 year after the official end of the federal COVID-19 emergency declaration, again, not the end of the pandemic, the government just said, we won! Woo! Mission accomplished. The pandemic's still happening. But they ended the national emergency. Why? Because they wanted to convince you it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Last week I talked about how some guy documented his lung health and age after and before and after getting COVID, and they found out that their fucking lungs aged 19 years. 19 years of lung decay from catching a mild case of COVID. But hey, Joe Biden told me the germs went away. We cured germs. The germ theory of disease isn't necessary. So stop buying soap. You don't need it anymore because germs are gone. You don't need any cleaning products, because there's no more germs. You might as well let all your food rot on the counter because you don't need refrigerators. Bacteria and germs aren't going to eat your food and cause foodborne illness. Why? Because they disappeared. Joe Biden cured them all, apparently. The regular use of face masks for non-immunocompromised people has faded from American life. What the fuck does that... Now, I mentioned earlier that 93% of Americans have a form of metabolic dysfunction, which also you could count as an immunocompromisation of some kind. Now, again, is it different than someone with a specific disorder, or like an autoimmune disease? Yes. Though you can make an argument that 93% of Americans already have some level of immune dysfunction. And also, you know what COVID does? COVID, very similar to HIV, targets the immune system. So if you get COVID, you become immunocompromised, right? But again, people as we can see here, Dave Weigel, they believe in La La Land. They don't believe in germs, right? So that's why it's like shock to the system that college kids believe that germs are real somehow. College kids maybe they keep up with medical studies on how germs are real and they're not magic. Outdoor masking mandated in many states during the peak of the pandemic. The peak of the pandemic was 2 months ago. The peak of the fucking pandemic was 2 fucking months ago. There was more virus circulating for a longer period of time than at any other point in the entirety of the pandemic over the course of the last winter. Now, if you're going to make an argument that there was a mask mandate for outdoors in the winter of 2023 and 2024, guess what? You'd be lying. So if you're going to say the peak of the pandemic was March 2020, that was the peak? How was that the peak of the pandemic? That was maybe the peak of the government pretending to care. That was maybe the peak of the government pretending to give a shit about your health. But that wasn't the peak of the pandemic. But again, Dave Weigel is a fucked up motherfucker. He's got rocks in his brains. He's a fucking moron. He's like got a -6 IQ. This guy just, whatever Joe Biden says. Did Joe Biden say it? Oh, must be true. Must be true. Did Joe Biden say that? Oh, it has to be true if Joe Biden said it. Joe Biden would never lie. Donald Trump would never lie. The government always tells the truth, according to Dave Weigel. Became even rarer after a 2022 CDC advisory scaled it back. But the gradual return to barefaced life never reached left-leaning protests, where face masks are widely used and encouraged. You know why? Because if you get fucking sick with a disease that has a 25% chance of giving you a chronic, long-term, disabling, debilitating virus, condition, guess what? You're not going to be able to fucking protest. So, you're telling me protesters who care deeply about their ability to protest and stand up against the genocide going on in Israel and Gaza, right? They want to continue being healthy enough to protest in the future. Whoa!
Whoa, dude! You're telling me that, like, protesters, they actually care about what they're doing, dude? And they want to, like, continue doing it, man? Whoa!
But again, people like Dave Weigel are just fucking stupid. These are dumb motherfuckers. This is MAGA shit. This is anti-vax RFK tier garbage, but it's somehow been mainstreamed in liberal, areas. Let's keep going. Part of the reason, say organizers, remains an attempt to make a point about the exposure to COVID and other health risks. Again, there's a measles outbreak going on in several areas. We have H5N1, which is cooking up. Again, that's going to be a big problem, especially the food supply chain. All kinds of shit going on. Which some in the left-wing protest movements believe remain dire. Like the idea, like, oh, they believe in germs. Like, this is like literally, oh, some of these crazy lefties, they believe germs are real. How crazy are them, man? Didn't they know that we don't need soap anymore, dude? Why shower? Why do you shower? What, are you getting dirt off of you? Well, what's the problem with having dirt on your body? Well, you might get sick? No, because sickness doesn't exist. We cured it. It's all done. There's no such thing. And also, have you ever thought about this, you stupid fucking liberal fucking cocksucker, that maybe we live in a country that doesn't have fucking universal health care? And that if you get sick, guess what? You can't work. And if you can't work, guess what? You can't get money. And if you can't money, guess what? Can't get money, guess what? You can't live in a fucking place. And if you are kicked out of your house for lack of rent payment or whatever, then your fucking life is fucked. So, and also, if you do get sick and you go to the doctor, they're going to tell you, well, just take antibiotics or whatever. And they're not going to fucking treat you properly, right? Because a lot of doctors don't believe in long COVID because they're all fucking stupid cultist conspiracy theorists, right? Now, again, there's a lot of good doctors out there, but most of them are fucking cult followers, right? And the health system, if you do get really sick and God forbid you don't have health insurance, you're fucked. You're fucked. You might as well kill yourself. That's what's happening in Canada. A lot of people in Canada, because their health insurance or the health system isn't covering their conditions because they don't believe that it's worthy of covering them. And that's a big problem with universal health care that has qualifiers, has asterisks, right? So they're also in Canada, they're having the system that legalized euthanasia. So if you're too sick and we don't care about healing you or whatever, we'll just offer you this idea to kill yourself. But don't worry, it's all great, right? And that's going to be basically what it is in the United States. If you get sick and you can't work, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. And you go to the doctor and you can't pay for treatment, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. And the idea that liberals are okay with this is Nazi shit. This is eugenics. This is fucking insane that we're talking about the fact that disabled people, they have to stay at home for 5 fucking years. If you're disabled, your kind is not welcome here. This is apartheid in this country, in the world. This is disease apartheid. Oh, you have an immunocompromisation disorder? Sorry, we don't welcome you here. You're not allowed to participate in society. Oh, you want to go to a concert and have a good time? Well, guess what? You have to be willing to risk your fucking life because no one else is going to wear a mask for your safety. And guess what? That's probably going to result in you not going to the concert in the first place. If you are disabled, your kind is not welcome here. If you are elderly and you want to be healthy and go out and do stuff in the public, your kind is not welcome here. You have to choose sickness and death if you want to participate in society, right? So tell me again how liberals are okay with this. This is Nazi shit. These are Nazis, okay? Now, again, am I going to sit here and say that Dave Weigel is a Nazi similar to, like, Nick Fuentes? No, they're different flavors, but they both believe in eugenics. At the core of their ideology is, I don't give a shit how many disabled people die. I want to go to my fucking goddamn whatever bagel place and get a nice croissant, right? And I want to eat it in public, and I want to eat inside, right? Because that's more important than disabled people's lives, right? Imagine, right, these motherfuckers, these whiny little crybaby fucking lunatics. Oh, we had a 2-week quarantine where we couldn't leave the house except you could leave your house. And we weren't allowed to do anything except we could do anything. And we weren't allowed to go to the store except you could go to the store, right? How do you feel about motherfuckers? Imagine, you would be dead. You would have killed yourself if you're a disabled person. You have to be inside in a quarantine for 5 fucking years because whiny little toddlers like the rest of these motherfuckers, like the Dave Dave Weigels of the world just don't believe in germs anymore. They just don't believe in them, okay? So I'm sorry, man. It's fucking stupid. These fucking liberals are fucking stupid. And shout outs to the college kids that understand, oh, shit, germs are real. And also, that's the other thing too. So imagine you're a motherfucker. You believe that the government is lying about Israel and Gaza. You believe the government is lying about the genocide, right? So when the United States government says there is no genocide, Israel has a right to defend itself, you think, oh, they're lying. But when that same government says COVID's over, germs aren't real, they're telling the truth? Are you fucking dumb? Are you fucking stupid? Do you have like rocks in your brain? Do you have like fucking marbles coming out of your earballs? Like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with these people. Jesus fucking goddamn Christ. And part of the threat of a different kind of exposure, for being captured by facial recognition technology or becoming doxxed, their personal information being shared online by counter-protesters. That's another reason. Okay, both of them are valid. COVID is obviously the more important reason here. But at the same time, we need, like, this idea that you shouldn't be wearing masks, I mean, it's a cult shit. It's cult shit. You can't wear a mask in a society where we have an active pandemic and also facial recognition surveillance and stuff like that. You can't wear a mask. Why? Because you're a cultist. You're a fucking loser. If you go outside, if you leave your house without wearing a mask on, you're a dummy. You're a fucking idiot. And if you're going to any sort of crowded event without a mask on, I hope you die, and I hope you die as soon as possible so that you cannot infect other people and take them down with you. That's my honest opinion. Go fuck yourself, okay? But let's get a quote here from a spokesman for the March on the DNC 2024 coalition. Quote, "To us, the optics are communicating that we deny the Biden administration's narrative about COVID, that it's no longer a big deal," said Olan Mijani. "It's about collective safety, and it's about connecting this COVID neglect to the very issues that we're marching on the DNC for." Now, again, how? Explain to me the possibility that someone can be a universal healthcare activist and not believe in COVID? Because they exist. I've seen them. But also, like, this idea that being healthy is, like, lame. That, like, the boomers are trying to push on you. Like, oh, dude, you don't want to die when you're 43 years old from a heart attack? Dude, you're a total square, man. You're like a total turkey, bro. You don't want to die at the age of 35? What? Everyone's doing it, dude. Everyone's getting sick and dying early, man. What? Like, this idea that they're just shocked. They're freaked the fuck out to their core, at the idea that people don't want to die early. Like, that's insane. Whoa, you want to live a long, healthy life? Whoa, not so fast, buddy. No more. We're gonna both sides. Are germs real? Let's get both sides in on this. I say germs are real. I say germs aren't real. Who really knows? Let's find out. The return to masking, again, it's not even a return. It's just that these people acknowledge that germs are real, so they haven't stopped masking, but okay. Has confused and irritated critics. Quote, "Notice the horde standing behind their masks," wrote a counter-protester this week. What? That's like saying, "Notice the horde standing behind their pants." What? They're wearing clothes. What's the point of wearing clothes? Well, theoretically, if it's like cold outside, you wear clothes so that you don't freeze to death. Right? So you wear clothes so that you don't die? Now, again, we have this societal standard where you're not allowed to walk around naked because naked parts are icky and weird. And, we can talk about the validity of that. But ultimately, if you're not wearing clothes, most of the time in a lot of areas, right, you'll probably be fine, theoretically. But if it's really cold out, if it's wintertime, you'll die. You'll freeze to death. So people started wearing clothes so that they wouldn't freeze to death as a way to prevent them from dying. How is that different from wearing a mask? So that you don't get infected with a deadly virus and then die or get disabled or have a chronic disability that lasts for 10 years or 20 years that the doctors are telling you isn't real or it's all in your head, right? So, what? I mean, like, again, we're talking, but this is both sides. Dave Weigel, they're both, yeah, germs are real, germs aren't real. Who really knows? "No mask on campus," said Jonathan Greenblatt, the president of the Anti-Defamation League. So the ADL, which is a fucking neo-Nazi organization. Let's be honest. The ADL is a neo-Nazi organization. They're a pro-Israel, pro-genocide, pro-Zionist Nazi organization that loves to pretend like they care at all about the people's health, safety, or concerned about terrorism or whatever. after he surveyed protests at Columbia University. This isn't Fallujah, this is Morningside Heights. So wearing a mask during a pandemic means it's Fallujah? So there's a pandemic going on, and if you don't want to die or get disabled, well, you might as well be in the Iraq War. What? And again, this article is presenting both sides, dude. Both sides. We don't really know. Before the pandemic, this level of masking wasn't common or legal. Now, that's not true. In America, maybe it's true, but in other countries, like let's look at Japan or Korea or like Thailand or something, they have often worn masks. Just, you know, especially on subways and stuff in crowded indoor spaces. Why? Because they figured out pretty quickly getting sick all the time fucking sucks. It fucking sucks getting sick all the time. But Americans are like, Americans have this weird brain dead fuck shit, like imperialistic military base, like implanted on their brainstem, that it's like, it's a virtue to be tired all the time. Giving all your energy to corporations at work, that's a good sign of you're a good American. You're working through the pain. You're getting sick all the time. It's a sign that you're working hard. Like, Americans are fucking brain dead, dude. I'm honest with you. Like, they're fucking brain dead. Holy fucking shit. Let's look at David's view here. Let's see what Dave Weigel has to say. A college student who's spending part of finals week at Gaza Solidarity Camp has never known a world without social media. A senior who arrived on campus in the fall of 2020 was mandated to wear a mask. The 150-year regime of anti-mask laws died before they got there. The anonymity of these protests and other pro-Gaza protests around the country grew out of that reality, and out of the worry that being identified could ruin their lives. Those fears were exacerbated last year when a top law firm rescinded job offers to Ivy League students who signed onto a statement holding Israel entirely responsible for the 10/7 attack, which is true, by the way. Israel... Now, can you make an argument that they coordinated with Hamas to do the attack? I don't know if I would go that far. But they created Hamas. They put everyone in a concentration camp for decades, right? That's going to, guess what happens, cause resentment, which is going to, guess what happens, increase popularity for Hamas, right? They constantly do terror attacks and acts of genocide and Nazism by bombing and shooting the limbs off of like fucking children and peace activists and doctors and parents and journalists. They've been doing this for fucking years, decades, right? And then they reassigned everyone in charge of the concentration camp wall to go beat the shit out of people who did nothing wrong in the West Bank. And then Hamas went through. And then also, guess what? The Netanyahu government got an advanced warning. Hey, it looks like Hamas is going to do an attack on October 7th. And the government did nothing. They did nothing. So they are entirely responsible. 100%. 100%. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say that they organized it, like, personally, but again, it's never let a crisis go to waste, never let an opportunity go to waste. They created the conditions for 10/7 to happen, where it gave an advanced warning that 10/7 would happen, and then you know what they did? They let it fucking happen. So yes, they are entirely 100% responsible. That is a fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. That is a fact. That's called reality. Fear of reprisal has colored the protest and made them cautious about identifying themselves. Reporters from national news outlets, even friendly ones, have recorded their annoyance at how hard it's been to get the name and full story of someone participating in direct action. Students who participated in news stories like Rep. Ilhan Omar's daughter, Barnard student Isra Hirsi, are rare and usually have the full support of family members. As these students graduate and become active in politics and government, you can already see the same... So, David's view, we're not even going to talk about. Fucking the active pandemic. Why? Because David is a Nazi eugenicist who believes that COVID magically disappeared because Joe Biden somehow has the ability to cure all disease. Right, so Dave Weigel, fucking moron here. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know some people like this guy. He's a fucking idiot. He's a dipshit cocksucker. He's a Republican fucking scumbag loser who pretends to be a liberal. He fucking throws trans people under the bus constantly. He pretends that COVID disappeared. He's like, oh, both sides have a good point when it comes to the Gaza genocide. So I'm sorry. Fuck this guy and fuck this article. But again, This is the star quote here. To us, the optics are communicating that we deny the Biden administration's narrative about COVID, that it's no longer a big deal. If you think that Joe Biden is lying about Gaza and you don't think Joe Biden is lying about COVID, guess what? I got a bridge to sell you because you're a dumb fucking motherfucker, right? It's obvious. If Joe Biden is lying about something like Gaza, it is obvious he would lie about something like COVID. Duh. No shit. So shout outs to these college kids that are actually engaging in reality. To be honest with you, I'm pleasantly surprised. I've seen a lot of protests over the last few months that have been organized by people that don't have masks on, that have been organized by people that are against having masks on, right? And a lot of arguments and stuff happening, and a lot of people getting sick because they went to protests. So I'm very, very, very glad to see that a lot of these organizers are getting their shit together and mandating masks, full stop. You should not. If you go to a protest, especially a left-wing protest, and you don't have a mask on, as far as I'm convinced, you're a Nazi provocateur. Okay, that's my opinion. If you are going to a left-wing protest and you are breathing COVID on people, that is, again, an act of biological warfare. You're going into left-wing groups to get them sick on purpose so that they can't protest in the future. I don't give a shit what you pretend to think. I don't give a shit what you think you think. I don't give a shit what you think you are politically. If you are going to a protest without a mask on and breathing COVID particles on people, you're a eugenicist. You're a Nazi. Full stop. I don't give a shit about you. You're garbage. The sooner people like that die, the better everyone else is going to be. I'm just being honest with you. Okay? So, there you go. Isn't that wonderful? All right, let's talk about bugs. Cicadas are so goddamn motherfucking noisy in a South Carolina county that residents are calling the police. So we got like this weird like Venn diagram, like middle section thing going on with cicadas where there's like all kinds of different broods or whatever of cicadas, and some of them are like the psychedelic funky cicadas that are like the zombie fungus ones, right? And they're all happening at once, so these motherfuckers are loud as hell. So let's read this shit. Emerging cicadas are so loud in one South Carolina county that residents are calling the sheriff's office asking why they can hear sirens or a loud roar. The Newberry County Sheriff's Office sent out a message on Facebook on Tuesday letting people know that the whining sound is just the male cicadas singing to attract mates after more than a decade of being dormant. Some people have even flagged down deputies to ask what the noise is about. I'm sorry, man, that's just fucking funny. The idea that they don't know what cicadas are, like, that's another thing too. This, like, it really goes to show how dumb Americans are. Now, I get it. I know. I'm not going to, like, blow this one out of proportion here, right? I know that this isn't as bad as, like, thinking that orange juice is healthy for you or that thinking COVID is magically gone or whatever like that. But, like, it's just really funny that motherfuckers hear, like, bugs, like, you know, like cicadas, and they don't know what they are, so they call the fucking cops. Like, that's funny to me, okay? Like, and it's a sign of lack of education. It's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. I don't want to blow it out of proportion, but it is really funny, okay? The noisiest cicadas were moving around the county of about 38,000 people about 40 miles northwest of Columbia, prompting calls from different locations. As Tuesday wore on, Foster said, trillions of red-eyed periodical cicadas are emerging from underground in the eastern U.S. this month. The broods emerging are on 13 or 17-year cycles. Their collective songs can be as loud as jet engines, and scientists who study them often wear earmuffs to protect their hearing. After Tuesday, Foster understands why. Quote, although to some the noise is annoying, they pose no danger to humans or pets, Foster wrote in a statement to country residents. Unfortunately, it is the sound of nature. So, you know, just a little fun story to end the day on. If you've been hearing cicadas, let me know in the motherfucking comment section. That's right, I'm one of those YouTubers. You always got to have one of those things at the end. If you watch this video all the way through, then leave an emoji, man. Tell me that you made it all the way. You know, but anyway, I find cicadas pretty fascinating, and we have like a big kind of like a amount of cicadas this time around because there's a convergence of some of the cycles here. So, and it's going to be a little bit of a long season, I think. So, I think cicadas are active for a couple months or whatever. So, get used to it. And really, that's the show for today. Hopefully, people enjoyed. I know I got a little, I got a little, a little crazy, a little amped up every once in a while when I do these shows. But, you know, I'm just trying to pierce the bubble a little bit. I know a lot of my audience is in a bubble, and I like to pop the bubble. I like to put a stick in that shit. You know about Bubble Boy? Fuck Bubble Boy. I'm on Squidward's team. I'm popping that bitch, okay? And also, I know some people, I know some people that watch me, they're not really into political content, but they check this out for some reason. So, I like to broadcast my out there opinions in a concentrated form, and I like to broaden the conversation of what's allowed to be talked about in these kinds of spaces. A lot of the times you get a lot of people that don't know shit about fuck talking about things that they don't know anything about. Like that fucking parent who was like, I try to give my kids healthy meals, but not everyone has wheat bread. Like, I mean, hey, someone's got to tell them. Someone's got to stick it to the parents, so, and that's my job. That's my role. I'm taking it upon myself. The war on parents continues next week on Above It All.